I'd like to express my enthusiastic appreciation to Mayor Stephen Phillip and the Jersey City Municipal Council for the nomination and confirmation of Kalimah Ahmad to the Jersey City Municipal Court. The addition of Judge Ahmad to our court will ensure that justice will be served swiftly and the needs of our community are met. So just as a background, for those of you who are unfamiliar with our court, the Jersey City Municipal Court is actually the second largest court in the state of New Jersey. Last year in 2015, and I actually checked these numbers yesterday, we processed over 336,000 cases. So in our court we have 9 judges, so if you do the math, you can see that we are a very busy court with very busy judges. On a larger scale, out of the 7 million cases that were filed in New Jersey last year, 6 million of those were actually filed in the municipal courts. So again, you can see how busy the municipal courts are in New Jersey. Municipal courts are often called the People's Court, because while in municipal court we don't handle the high-profile cases that you see in the news or you read in the papers, we handle the vast majority of the cases. So when people come to the municipal court and interact with a judge, the way that a judge behaves and acts on the bench is of the utmost importance, because we are really the face of the judiciary. As judges, we are responsible for the reputation of our branch of government, and that responsibility should not be taken lightly. And so when a new judge is appointed, especially with the credentials, reputation, and legal intellect which Kalimah possesses, I can't be but thrilled that she is joining us on the bench, and I find it of the highest moment. Now, with respect to Ms. Ahmad's credentials, they are impressive to say the least. While I will not go into the full background of Ms. Ahmad, I'll leave that to her boyfriend, who I believe is going to be speaking later. I will note that she's a Jersey City resident, graduated from Montclair State University and Seton Hall Law School, has worked both in government and private practice as a county counsel and in maintaining her own private practice. And during these years, she has gained a vast wealth of knowledge in our legal system, and in doing so, has become a very highly qualified candidate for this position. She is an eminently qualified lawyer with impressive credentials, and I am confident that she will be an outstanding jurist with a judicial temperament whose personal integrity will be beyond reproach. So at this point in time, Kalimah, I would like to personally congratulate you and welcome you to our court. Your friends, your family, and your colleagues all here are extremely proud of you, and they have every reason to do so. This is a significant achievement, and I know you will not take this responsibility lightly, and you will attend the role as judge with the due professionalism it deserves. So as you take the bench, I would like to extend some words of advice to you that have taken me a long way, and I know will do the same thing for you. Understand that as a judge, you are not above the people. You are in fact a servant for the people. You have been chosen by our elected officials to serve as a judge because of the wisdom that you have displayed, so never abandon that wisdom and use it to do what is always just and right. Be courteous to the people that stand before you, and recognize that they are not only litigants, they are your neighbors, they are your friends' friends, they are your fellow citizens of Jersey City, and that these are the people that you will interact with on a daily basis once you leave the court. Simply put, give them the respect that they deserve and treat them in the way that you expect to be treated yourself. Be fair. Your entire life you've been guided by a moral compass that has brought you to this path, so use that compass as you apply the law. Only be persuaded by your good judgment and the facts that are presented before you, and nothing more. And lastly, Kalimah, be independent. Our founding fathers understood that judges who are able to apply the law freely and fairly are essential to the rule of law. The Constitution guarantees our rights on paper, but this would mean nothing without independent judges to protect them. There will be many times you will be faced with difficult decisions that will not have public approval. It is during those times that you must be faithful to the Constitution and to the laws that govern our land. So having said that, Kalimah, I am sure that you will prove to be an outstanding judge. You will be fair and impartial in your new endeavor to the bench. We wish you the best of luck, and we look forward to working with you. Congratulations.
I wouldn't view myself as responsible for this entirely. It really is a partnership on so many fronts. So I'd like to invite up my two council colleagues to say a couple words. We'll start with the Councilwoman at Large, Joyce Watterman.
Good afternoon. Congratulations. You know, you're getting ready to embark on something probably that you dreamed of when you started law. And what's exciting about it is that you're a female. And we need a whole lot of females on the bench to represent us. So I wish you well. I know you'll do a great job. And God bless you. Thank you.
I also want to invite up the Councilwoman for Ward F, Diane Coleman.
Good evening, everyone. I know this is exciting to you. It's exciting to me because you see, I happen to, you know, we all wear a bunch of hats, and I happen to have on another one of my hats, and I was in a ladies' room when Judge Ahmad approached me and said, Councilwoman, something is getting ready to happen, and I just wanted to be the first one to tell you so it wouldn't be surprised. I said, well, thank you for letting me know. She wanted to say, how are you going to vote? But I wouldn't answer her. I said, you'll have to wait and see. But I want to say to you, in the many hats that we wear together and the things that cross our paths together, congratulations. I'm so proud of you. I know it takes hard work to get to where you are right now. Don't let anything stop you. You know that old song, ain't no stopping me now. Just keep on going, keep on pushing, because I know you can go as far as you want to go. I hope that I don't ever have to come to court before you, but if I do, remember that I voted for you. So So God bless you, congratulations, and may you keep on striving for the best. Thank you.
And I just want to echo some of those sentiments and say, really, Kalimah, congratulations. We've worked together, we worked against each other, we're going to work together again. And I think the most important thing to me is that even when we weren't on the same page, there was an admiration that you always came from a place of trying to understand issues and understanding people. I also think it's really important what Carlos said earlier, in the sense that this is an important job that's balancing in many ways the futures of individuals. And she has a tremendous impact, as the other individuals do, on the futures of people's lives and setting them on the right course if they're on the wrong course, and adjusting people. And you need to be balanced between finding compassion and being strong and being stern, and at the same time recognizing that people do make mistakes. And that's why this is important. You need to find somebody with the right temperament that understands that these are people's lives. Even small infractions are difficult for people, and they stress about it, and they think about it, and their families think about it. And so I know you'll do a terrific job. I know you'll balance through this process a lot of hard decisions and make wise decisions on behalf of all the residents of Jersey City. We've tried to have a closer working relationship with the bench because we recognize that we can't do it alone from our side. There's no way to legislate everything. There's no way to enforce everything. It really is every circle of law enforcement, and there is no question that the judicial branch is as important as any. And so we wish you the best of luck. We couldn't be more proud to have you as part of this Jersey City family, and we look forward to you not only serving here, but long things into the future at a much higher level. Thank you.
I want to thank Kalimah for inviting me, the mayor and his colleagues on the council for a very wise choice. They didn't confer with me about this choice, but I would have certainly supported it. I just don't know how they get along without me. But clearly this was a wise and important choice. And of course, judges, honorable judges, it's always an honor. You might be wondering why I'm here. And I wonder it myself, because this is really a great opportunity and a great honor, and one I don't truly deserve, but I am glad to be here. To begin with, I'm here because I cannot imagine that any child of Jersey City would call me and say, would you speak at my swearing in? And I would say no. And for those of you, like her children, perhaps like her boyfriend, you can't call her a child, but I can. And it's important that those of us who've been around a couple of days continue to stay in touch with young folks as they evolve and move forward. Another reason is that I was born in the Booker T. Washington Housing Project in Jersey City. And the folks from Booker T and Lafayette and other places, we have a very long memory. And those Jim Crow housing projects, and I say Jim Crow and the little tiny ones in the front will maybe wondering, well, who's that Jim Crow guy? Was he the landlord? Maybe they'll ask questions and learn. But the struggle against Jim Crow was a long and difficult one, and for those of us who think about the criminal justice system nationwide, it's not a struggle that's over. And it's important to keep in mind that the people who came out of those projects, you had to be a low-income person and have no money, but they were not poor in spirit. And they led a long, long, difficult struggle. Many names that you know in this room. The Mazes, the Halls, the Browns, and others. And it's not to suggest that somehow we're elite, entitled to this. But when we have children who remember it, who remember where they came from, and understand the nature of that struggle, on the bench is where they ought to be. And so it's an honor to talk at the swearing in of a child of that tradition of struggle against injustice, a struggle that continues to this very moment. It's in some ways inappropriate for someone who appears constantly before judges and constantly struggles against them, always respectfully, of course, trying to prevail, because an advocate's job is to prevail and represent a client, to talk to judges about what they ought to do. But in this young lady, we have someone really special. She came after many years of my not having contact to a class I was teaching at Seton Hall in international criminal law. You know what that is? It's about genocide, about mass murder. And she heard us talk about work my wife and I were doing in Darfur, where hundreds of thousands of people have been killed and where millions have been displaced, and we represent victims in the modern international court. And we also represented an accused in Sierra Leone. You may have heard of the Blood Diamond trials. And it's not every student that takes those courses, because that's an elective course. It's not one you have to take. And unfortunately, not enough children of color take those courses. So we were thrilled that Kalimah showed up, and of course, she was the brightest kid in the class, and the most difficult. But I guess her boyfriend might know something about that. I've never met him. We haven't conferred yet, but maybe he knows. But she sought to understand the greatest challenge as a species we face. How and to what extent can we use law to deal with the greatest deprivations, the greatest harm that we do to each other? And she did it because she wanted to learn, because she's intellectually curious before she cares about more than just the things in front of her. And that seems to me to be something that stands her in good stead in terms of going forward. Of course, we come to celebrate something that seems like a climax. That's what the ceremony is about, but this isn't the end. It isn't even the middle. It's the beginning. And I suppose I'd be stealing a line from Judge Ahmad, but that's not a bad person to steal from, and talking about how important is the municipal court, but maybe talking about it in terms that are a little more grand. You may remember, some of you I'm sure have seen this movie recently, Confirmation, about Justice Thomas's confirmation. But at the time of his confirmation, Judge Leon Higginbotham, who was the presiding judge of the Third Circuit, that's the federal circuit, wrote an open letter to him. That's a letter that's not private, but it's in a law review. And the essence of that article was to talk about in part about a case called Plessy versus Ferguson, in which the United States Supreme Court at the turn of the last century enshrined segregation in the Constitution. And he made a point of saying that the judges who voted in favor of it were highly educated, from the most elite schools, from Harvard and Yale and Brown. The only judge who voted no was from a little place called Transylvania. He was, in fact, a former slaveholder himself. But the point that Higginbotham was making was he remembered where he'd come from. He remembered his roots. And the thing I'm most confident about Kalimah is that she will remember Booker T and Lafayette and the places she came from and that long struggle for justice. Justice Coleman used to use a phrase, that's the first black man to sit on our state Supreme Court, saying that justice is a secular faith, meaning it's the thing that holds us together, because the political branches are critical, but it's this branch that says there are limits to what you can do, even to the powerless, even to those who are ugly and irritable and difficult to get along with. And so this branch does have a sacred trust in terms of that secular faith. And although it's true that the municipal court is important because, as Judge Ahmad says, so many people come before it, it isn't 6 million people, it's one person after another 6 million times. Because each defendant is an individual person, each victim is an individual person, and the challenge of a judge is not just to be knowledgeable and scholarly, as Kalimah surely is, but who doesn't forget where they came from and doesn't forget their humanity. It's powerfully important to think in those terms, because in our scheme in New Jersey, which is based on something you might not think about called the Model Penal Code, it's an offense-based system. And so at the higher court levels, judges are severely constrained in what they can do. Now, it doesn't mean this is the wild bunch over here, but they have broader discretion. Broader trust is put in the judges on the municipal court than any other court. Yes, they get directives from the AOC that says, don't dismiss paraphernalia cases or whatever those secret directives say. But on the end of the day, they have to be more imaginative, because the endless parade of people through jails and prisons doesn't solve the problems. And drug courts in this state have come out of the municipal court experience. Reentry is a vital part of it. And so being imaginative and being compassionate is all so important. And so I believe that Kalimah will continue to adhere to the secular faith called justice. And we ought to acknowledge something else. It's important that she's a black woman. When I grew up as a kid in Jersey City, the notion of a black woman on the municipal court bench in Jersey City would have blown our minds, caused them to explode. So there are changes. The fact that a popular singer produces a song about her wandering husband called Lemonade, and in the middle of it quotes Malcolm X about respect for black women, that's a different time. I know I'm not supposed to talk about lemonade at this kind of an event, but it wouldn't be Kalimah if we didn't say something a little bit outside the bounds of what's proper. So I'm not going to spend much more of your time. It's just that I'm excited to be here. I think this is a very important historical day. But I do think one word ought to be said about Shirley Tolentino, because she is a person who, if I were a young, beautiful, intelligent, talented person being appointed to the Jersey City Municipal Court with a future ahead of me, I'd be thinking of Judge Tolentino as a role model. If I'd also been her intern, that might influence me more. And the thing that I think many people used to love about Judge Tolentino, because I'd known her all her life and all of mine, and she ruled against me on more than one occasion, but I never walked away feeling she'd done anything but what she thought was right. And she had common sense and mother wit in addition to scholarship. And so with role models like that, and a past like that, and a present and a future like the one we have, and the faith of people who run for office on the basis of the things they do, and have to stand proudly and say, that's the one I put on the bench, I'm sure we'll all be proud of this appointment. I'm proud to be here, and I know you'll continue to act as though justice is indeed a secular faith. Thank you for inviting me.
Good evening. Peace, everyone. I happen to be Kalimah's mom. So I know the Kalimah that is loving, giving, and hardworking. I know her as the mother, the daughter, and the sister. And I recall Kalimah working very hard in law school. And I remember she would have tears in her eyes, and she said, you know, Mom, a lot of my friends are mad at me because I won't return calls, but I have to get this test ready. I have to take a test. And I said to her, I said, Kalimah, if those people are really your friends, they're gonna be here when you get out of law school, if they are really your friends. And do you know her friends are here? And the other people fell off because they weren't really her friends. And you know, that's a good lesson. I'm not gonna talk too much. She says short poem, and I know why she put short poem. So, and I wasn't planning on doing any poetry, you know? So I'm just gonna do 2 short poems. One, she put me on the spot, so this is just the new poem. The first name is Conscious. The last name is Justice. Something inside to be found. Something to be spread all around. Yes, introducing conscious justice. Not only for some, an awareness of fairness for everyone. It's not a male, nor even a female. Shows utmost sincerity in things so minor and those of great gravity. Conscious justice. In all these rooms, sweeping out prejudice and justice just like a broom. The first name is conscious. The last name is justice. Conscious justice is what we must trust. And this last short one was for all of my children, because I have already taught my children that if you are a believer, you can't be a failure. It is absolutely impossible in your mind. Even if something doesn't work, you just change your strategy so you cannot fail. Dreams. Some people go through life without purpose or aim. Some people go through life in misery and pain. Some people don't have hope nor see a way out. They just can't cope because they live with doubt. But there are those who just take one day at a time. They are the ones with the positive minds. They are the ones who change a negative condition. They are the ones who possess inner vision. So you just need to know you've got to move on your dream. What would life be? What would life mean without dreams? You've got to dream, you've got to dream. What would life be? What would life mean without dreams? I love you, Kalimah.
Good evening. Allow me to step away from the program for a minute, because I'm pretty sure we're all aware of Kalimah's ton of accomplishments and achievements. And let me just reintroduce you to Kalimah Ahmad that I've known and I've come to love. You all may know her as Kalimah Ahmad, Miss Ahmad, former Councilwoman Ahmad, and after today, Your Honor. But this special woman I'd like to reintroduce to all of you is known as CJ and I around the house as Ma, Mom, Mommy, and Babe. I mean, if you guys think what Kalimah does all day at the jail is special, in the courthouse and all she has done for the city and community, you haven't seen anything until you have spent the evening at our house. I swear Kalimah has superpowers. Every night I get home from work, she has completed a full day at the jail, drove around New Jersey for a court hearing, picked up CJ, gave him a bath, played him one-on-one, which she always cheats, according to him, cooked, and still manages to be on the couch with a glass of wine watching Scandal by the time I walk in. So this is a special woman you guys elected to the bench. But, so I pretty much said all that to say this. After today, Kalimah will be known to all of you as Your Honor, but to CJ and I, it is our honor to share each day with her. Congratulations. Keep setting the bar high, not only for myself, but for our son. And we're extremely proud of you, and I love you. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Ahmad, please repeat after me. Raise your right hand. I, Kalimah H. Ahmad,
I, Kalimah H. Ahmad,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority
under the authority
of the people,
of the people,
and will perform all the duties
and will perform all the duties
of a judge
of a judge
of the Jersey City Municipal Court
of the Jersey City Municipal Court
of the City of Jersey City,
of the City of Jersey City,
faithfully,
faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly,
and justly,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my sister in spirit and now my sister in the judiciary, the Honorable Judge Kalimah H. Ahmad, JMC.
I'm going to make you a green robe one day.
Congratulations.
Also, we just want to present this. This is a proclamation memorializing today on behalf of the 250,000 people that called Jersey City home. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Kalimah.
Thank you very much. First, I'll have to thank Allah, God, and I thank my parents. I'm just going to do a lot of thank yous. I'm not going to do a speech because many of you probably hear enough from me as it is. But I have to thank my mom, my first teacher. I thank you for everything you've ever done for me, for always being there for me. I thank my dad, who's not here today, but he is definitely my soldier. He's my rock. I wish he could be here. He wish he could have been here, especially to see Ray Brown, who, you know, he thinks that the Brown family and what they mean to Jersey City is so much. And I agree. From your dad, Raymond Brown Sr., to you, you know, it's a blessing and it's beautiful. And I think that many more residents of Jersey City should know more about the strength and the power of people who come from Jersey City. I think that we would learn and that a lot of our youth would appreciate life more if we know the lives that we came from. I have to also thank my family, my sisters and my brothers, Tyler, Muslima, Lukman, Sadiq. You know, I thank you for punching me and beating me up because it made me tough. Thank you. My aunt Brenda, my cousins, my nephews, I thank you all. I also thank my work family. The law department in Hudson County, Don, thank you. Because you saw something in me that, you know, you went above and beyond, and I thank you for everything you've done. I thank Hunt, Hamlin, and Ridley, who threw me into the fire. I was sworn into the bar maybe, I don't know when it was, but 3 months later I was on trial. And that's what Hunt, Hamlin, and Ridley told me. And I have to take a moment of silence out for Terry Ridley, Terry Ridley, I would call my work father. Terry Ridley, I have to tell you a story. I was living in Lafayette Projects, and I was at the table playing cards. That's what we would do. And there was a man at the time who was like the project cry. He would tell you when to go vote. He would walk around with a bullhorn. His name was Shahir Akhtar. And he would always start off with citizens of Lafayette. And he would say something like, so-and-so is selling drugs. We got to get them out the community. Or, you know, and this one particular day he came around and he said, citizens of Lafayette, Terry Ridley has passed the bar. And I was young, I'm like, what's the bar? Who cares? And, you know, it's very ironic, but Terry Ridley is the person who hired me. My first actual law job was with Terry Ridley, and he was a remarkable and beautiful brain. So I have to remember him and take a moment of silence for him and for Judge Tolentino, who told me that your work in the profession is very important. Also, any attorneys who remember appearing before Judge Tolentino would know that she was one of the judges who would help you a lot. She would say, no, counselor, that's not what you want. What you're really asking for from me, right, is, you know, and I know the prosecutors didn't like that too much, but she knew and understood that sometimes attorneys needed a little help. And I'll always remember that, and I'll always remember her telling me how important it was to make sure you give back, that you remember that you are of the people, and you're just standing on someone else's shoulders, and no matter what you do. I thank all of my friends, my best friend Melanie, who gave me that loan in law school. I thank you so much. I've had so many great friends. Thank you so much. Kim, Jeanette, you've all been wonderful friends to me. Tish, Shanima, thank you so much. Even Judge Royster, you've been a backbone for me. But when you grow up from nothing, and you remember not barely having anything or much, it becomes a little emotional for you. So the people who are here for you, you know, you can't help but show a little emotion, and that's fine. And I want to thank the mayor, because in this environment, this political environment we are in, it's very hard for me to allow my son to watch politics nowadays. When my parents would let me sit and watch with them, but I refuse to let him watch the mockery that's going on right now. But Mayor Phillip, I think that you take a stance right now in showing people that even though you're not on the same side, you can still be respectful and you can still use your common sense. Common sense is not so common. We must all try to use it as much as possible, especially as politicians. You are leaders and people look up to you. So in this state of the political game, I think that you did a wonderful thing, not just because it's me, but because it's showing that just because you're on opposite sides, that you still have a brain and you're capable of using it. I thank you very much. And Jeff, thank you for always being there for me. I appreciate it. Last but not least, to Chris and CJ, who have to stand and sit in the house and pretend to be my jurors. And, you know, I do my closing arguments and opening arguments, and, you know, they're the best because those are the jurors. The jurors are regular folks. If I start using too many big words, they'll say, well, we really don't know what you're talking about at this point. And those are the best people to practice in front of, so thank you. And my friends, too. I run my closings and openings and all kinds of stuff to you. But Chris and CJ, thank you so much for always putting up with Mommy. I love you. You know I love you. Okay. Chris, I love you too. Thank you, everyone. I thank you so much for coming out. To the judges, thank you so much for giving up your Friday. But thank you for allowing me to sit with you all and to learn. For the past 2 weeks, I've sat with the judges. They've taught me so much about the bench. It's different when you're on the other side of the bench. So thank you for allowing me to sit with you all, for teaching me, because, you know, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. That's one of my favorite quotes. Once again, thank you all. I appreciate you all for coming out. I love you. Good night.